Hello Bangaloreans, good morning. Today the topic of discussion is garbage. Yes, the waste that the city of Bangalore generates every day. Is it being collected and disposed of? Is it being collected and disposed of properly? I am sure all Bangaloreans will say a big no. No doubt Bangalore is often referred to nowadays as garbage city instead of garden city. Who is to blame? The civic agencies, the contractors, or the citizens themselves? I have with me in the hot seat today three highly proactive Bangaloreans who are trying to drive some sense into the minds of the citizens and the civic agencies to keep the city clean. Ms. Kalpana Kar of Clean Bangalore, Mr. N.S. Ramakant of Solid Waste Management Roundtable, and Vilma Rodriguez of Sahas is an NGO. All the three are hardcore Bangaloreans who have taken up the most difficult task of ensuring that this beautiful city is kept free of garbage. Also with me is Mr. B.V. Satish, BBMP engineer in charge of solid waste disposal. I am sure that the interaction with them will yield answers to most of the problems connected with disposal of garbage. To begin with, I would like to call upon Ms. Kalpana Kar and Mr. N.S. Ramakant. Kalpana Kar is best known as a key member of the Bangalore Agenda Task Force set up during the S.M. Krishna regime. She rose to prominence then. She has dedicated her time and energy to resolving the complex problems of this fast-growing IT city, be it civic amenities, or roads, or traffic management, or garbage disposal. Mr. N.S. Ramakant returned to Bangalore after serving a long stint with a private firm in Germany. Immediately on return, he started teaching himself solid waste disposal methods. Nothing is waste until it is considered so, he says. Thanks to his efforts, many households in Bangalore have begun to treat garbage scientifically. Welcome you both.
Thank you.
Ms. Kalpana Kar, garbage collection disposal is a big problem in cities. When you were at BATF, that is Bangalore Agenda Task Force, you initiated the zero waste concept. But it turned out to be a no bins concept. I believe you are now working with the BBMP and NGO to ensure that the solid waste management that you initiated then is a success.
Mr. Balram, thank you very much for having us today. You know, garbage is not something that one can treat with light. Let me start again. Garbage is not something that one needs to look at with dirty eyes, so to speak. Even though we turn around and say that the city is not being cleaned or not being cleaned sufficiently, just to put it in perspective, the city generates 4,000 metric tons of garbage daily. Somebody is doing something that we are not tripping all over garbage, right? So can we stop and think and ask ourselves that for whatever is being cleaned, are we as citizens doing something that isn't enabling it to be kept clean? What we did at the time of the BATF was a program called Swachha Bangalore, where we initiated door-to-door collection, which is now mandated by the Supreme Court and the municipal solid waste rules, and hence it's mandatory that the citizen segregates at source. At that point in time, we did not have holding areas, and we felt that if the citizen held his waste after the first collection of the BBMP, then you don't really need these cement bins, which become large eyesores. They become like Lakshman Rekhas, taking up 50% of the junction or the corner or a roadside. And hence, if you don't have those spots, black spots as we call them, will we be able to keep the street side cleaner than it was? At that point in time, with the monitoring and whatever was happening, it worked. It certainly worked. The question is that, you know, garbage isn't a one-time affair, right? You've got to do it every day, 24/7 into 365, and more so during festivals, Diwali, you know, etc. So we need to be able to understand what needs to be done to continuously keep our city clean, not one time.
So no bins concept is a good concept. This is what you say.
No bins concept is a concept. Right now we are working at the next. You see, garbage has, sorry to take another just a second, garbage has two types. You have wet waste and you have dry waste, right?
I'll come to that.
Yeah.
I'll come to that. Mr. Ramakant, you have initiated steps in various localities to reduce garbage to the extent possible and reusing and recycling wherever possible. How did you go about it?
I am mainly advocating the mantra of 3 R's. reduce, recycle, and reuse. These three things everybody has to know. Garbage by itself, first of all, the word garbage itself, the mindset should change. There is nothing like garbage. If you study the whole analysis of the whole garbage in the what is you are throwing it out, 90% of the garbage can be recycled or reused. There is nothing like garbage. Only thing is, citizens should start segregating at source into wet and dry, because dry waste should be also clean and dry, then only it can be recycled. So this is the project. Throughout, I am trying to make the people aware.
How many localities you have covered so far?
Almost all over Bangalore I am going around, because at least six to seven awareness programs I have a week. Sundays and Saturdays I am fully busy, because the residents are free only on that day. That day we start telling them about garbage. They will listen slightly. And mostly, in my case, wherever I have gone, the response is excellent. Everybody wants to do. And even when I speak on Doordarshan or radio anywhere, I get lot of inquiries from outstation also, Mofussil areas. People are interested. One of the programs, after that I went to Bailakuppe. They had called me there, and 1 week I went and gave all the infrastructure. After 15 days, they had a spiritual conference. Whatever I spoke, the spiritual leader spoke in that. And
Mr. Ramakant, sadly, segregation of waste hasn't taken off in a big way, except in some localities and apartment buildings. Where do you think the fault lies? I think, Kalpana, you can also answer that. Because segregation, you have been talking about segregation, is the key. But it has not taken off. People have been throwing garbage and it is being taken away, whatever it is. But the segregation part, I don't think it is successful in Bangalore as of now, in many localities.
The main problem for segregation is, till now, many people who have gone abroad and come back and all that, they are trying to do it in a small way, because there they are enforced. Here they try to segregate into dry and wet. As soon as they give it to the Paura Karmika or to the BBMP worker, he takes away only the high value things. All the low value things like thin plastics, pieces of paper, bus tickets, bus pass, whatever is there, those things you think that they are rejects. Now what I am teaching them, that also has got value. Even that, ITC under that program Wealth Out of Waste, or taking all those material and taken recycle. This is what I am teaching them. And another big problem there is, we didn't have collection centers. Why apartments are successful is, in the basement they keep all the dry waste collected. Whereas in individual houses there is no place to keep. For that, BBMP we have recommended now from the Solid Waste Management Roundtable to have dry waste collection centers in each ward. And that dry waste collection center, like a Hopcom or a Nandini, we are giving the logo as Kartavya. This Kartavya centers means you know that you have to give your dry waste. Just because your maid servant is going out or you yourself going out, give it there and go. That means dry waste is segregated, it won't go back into the lorry and then goes to the landfill.
So dry waste is taken away by somebody, wet waste is taken away by somebody?
Definitely, yeah.
Oh.
Wet waste is taken out, and also we have recommended in the new contract, which is coming out in about a month's time, there should be separate collection for dry waste. Right. Otherwise, contractor will be punished.
Mr. Ramakant, Kalpana, you should say, but that is not happening in many localities. Indranagar, I don't see that at all.
See, it's, you know, as Mr. Ramakant is saying, intrinsically, it's not a habit of an Indian to segregate waste, right? So you collect everything together and you put it together, give it to the Paur Karmika or the collection agency. It is a mindset that I will hold some of my waste. You know, you don't generate enough dry waste to be collected every day. All these separate collection cycles cost money, right? So the way to look at this problem really is that you've got one collection cycle that's taking the wet waste. You need a second cycle that collects the dry waste. What we are talking now is, as Mr. Ramakant explained, of trying to hold the dry waste, which means every home will have to segregate and hold its dry waste to be collected once a week. Now what is dry waste? Dry waste is cartons, boxes, plastic, PET bottles, you know, clean pouches in which you get your milk, anything that cannot be compostable, anything that cannot go into an organic dump is what is really, and that itself can be converted into compost or gold as they call it, right? So there really isn't anything that's waste other than the category of rejects, which you can do very little about, right? Even in that, there are special categories of waste that we are working on. So to go back to the citizen perspective, there has to be, by the municipality, a mandate to say segregated source. It is by the Supreme Court of India. And these are lifestyle changes. As you know, every home in India, why in Bangalore, wants to clean and throw its waste right outside its own door, whether it be their own street. So we need to start taking a look at waste.
So the problem lies with the residents themselves.
Problem lies with the mindset. Problem lies with the mindset
Correct.
change. And if we have infrastructure that goes along with education and awareness and a sense of responsibility, I think we are in tandem. We are reaching that point.